This session is the first of the VMware Cloud monthly webinar series. So the purpose of the series is going to be to learn about, VMware Cloud and its hybrid cloud offerings. So today I'll be focusing on our VMware Cloud vision, strategy, and architecture. And I'll also introduce some of our main hybrid cloud offerings. So today's presentation is really focused on understanding the industry challenges and the value and business case for VMware Cloud to kind of create that foundation for the technical sessions to follow. So today is going to be a little more business focused, right? Understanding the use case. But the subsequent sessions of the series will focus on each of those hybrid cloud offerings, and it'll be more technical and include some demos as well. And before we dive in, I actually want to give a quick shout out to my colleague at VMware, Caio Oliveira. He was kind enough to let me use his materials for this session. So I just wanted to give a little shout out. So let's get started. All right, so the days of organization only having this traditional on-premises data center really is over. Now organizations have multiple clouds, not just on-premises data centers, or, sometimes they're referred to as private cloud, right? So now they also have these public cloud environments, right, with AWS, Azure, Google, IBM, all these different clouds. So, and the most important thing to really remember here is that applications drive these multiple or multi-cloud strategies. And organizations have both existing and modern applications. So there are some different strategies depending on these application needs. So for example, for existing applications, organizations may want to reduce some cost, be more reliable, increase some security and control over these applications. And with that, they can either, maybe maintain them as they are, or re-platform the application so that they can, essentially be modernized, or kind of have this hybrid application architecture as well. And for modern applications, organizations want to really, decrease that time to market, right? Have, derive more innovation from the developers and be able to scale and differentiate themselves from every other organization out there, right, or their competitors. So with that, they can refactor the applications, and they encourage developers to also develop for the cloud and maybe utilize some native services or replace applications altogether actually with some SaaS offerings as well. So in this new multi-cloud world, it brings a lot of different challenges to the organizations. So when you have all of these different environments, you now have to deal with like thousands of objects, services, tons of cloud accounts. And now you have all these different complex teams and priorities, not just including, your IT team for the on-premises environment, but also to operate and maintain the public cloud environments as well, right? Because the skills and the knowledge is very different for all of these different products and environments. So this also brings in, a lot of security concerns for organizations as there are different environments. It's hard to keep all of those consistent. Same with performance or scalability, right? So there's that whole lack of visibility essentially between all of these different clouds, and it can actually increase overall spending for organizations. So traditionally, our on-premises environment, if you look at a data center, the teams are really divided into compute, network, and storage, right? You have those different teams, maybe you have a security team. And now we also see this rise of silos inside the company that are dedicated to different parts or different clouds. So there are teams for public clouds, there are teams for data center, there are teams for edge. So because there are so many different teams, right, there's that inconsistency. They're all using different tools. They all have maybe different SLAs or service level agreements, and different for, just security overall, right? So IT organizations, while they want to become more agile and scalable using clouds, these kind of operational challenges are hindering organizations from doing that. So when you think about like an optimal multi-cloud environment, right, you essentially want to provide your developers with the freedom with consistent operations and security across the clouds. So it should allow the developers that freedom or the users to build for any cloud and any applications in any cloud, right? And it should lead to, consistent operations across those cloud, having that standardized level of security and allowing application portability across these different clouds, right? So, and also when you're creating a cloud strategy, sometimes, organizations forget to put a cloud exit strategy as well, so that you're not locked into a certain cloud once you're in there, right? So potential disadvantage there, since our IT world is constantly changing and thinking through ways to move the applications and workloads, this secure and efficient operations is a must. So why VMware Cloud, right? So VMware Cloud is trying to give organizations that unified hybrid cloud operations. And that's kind of where all of our VMware Cloud services and offerings really strive to do. So VMware is really uniquely positioned in the multi-cloud space, right? We're providing that choice and flexibility for enterprise organizations anywhere in any stage, really, and they are for their multi-cloud journey. So if you really think back about like VMware history, right, when they first started, VMware was the first one really to give that abstraction of virtualization, right? And now, what they're trying to do is, okay, we kind of master that virtualization of on-premises. So we want to help organizations with their hybrid cloud space. So that any application on any cloud is really the vision of VMware Cloud. So we want to help organizations build, run, manage, connect, and protect their applications across any cloud. So we have, VMware, and we have partnerships with AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, IBM Cloud, and Oracle as well to kind of bring that hybrid cloud offering for our customers. And it's not just within the US, right, where VMware headquarter is. It's, VMware Cloud does have global presence everywhere. And, they're adding all of these solutions and, solutions across the globe, as we're speaking. So since 2017, VMware has been working closely with different hyperscalers and offering the ability for customers to run their VMware workloads on, dedicated bare metal infrastructure and giving that same resiliency level and the benefits of the cloud to the VMware workloads, right? Which then makes it easier for customers to consume and start moving to the cloud because they don't have to, maybe refactor or replatform all of their virtual machines that they already have, right? They can actually just kind of lift and shift and move into the hybrid cloud space without a huge amount of effort in front. So with the VMware Cloud, this kind of shows that the complete portfolio picture of a multi-cloud journey. So, starting kind of from the bottom, based on our VMware Cloud Foundation, it provides that consistent infrastructure for, your virtual machines, containers. It can be private cloud, public cloud partners, right? It doesn't exactly matter because, we're really trying that any cloud idea and vision for our customers. And then, of course, moving up, we are trying to provide that consistent operations across the clouds, whether it's VMware Cloud or non-VMware Cloud, allowing that visibility, operations, automation, security, governance, and container management. So this is heavily on like our vRealize portfolio, if you're familiar with VMware. And last at the top, but with the same importance, of course, is a model to provide consistent developer experience for existing and modern applications. So the value of VMware Cloud. These are some of the main value and use cases for VMware Cloud services. So first, it allows that hybrid cloud operations. You have all of these different clouds, but you have the consistency across all of these, giving you that unified management and having policies that are consistent across all of these environments. The second is that it allows organizations to migrate to the cloud very easily. They can, consolidate their data centers and maybe have that hybrid model and be in the cloud, or they can actually just migrate, let's say, right, to the hybrid cloud, or use it maybe as a DR, disaster recovery site or a data center extension. And third is scalability. So because with this hybrid cloud and being um, using public cloud environments, it provides organizations with scalability that they might not have been able to achieve in their on-premises data center alone. And if maybe the organization wants to expand across different regions within the globe or within the world or within a country even, this makes it easier with the public cloud environments that are offered all across the world, right? The fourth was the unified multi-cloud operations, as I mentioned earlier, and that really helps with the resource and cost management as well. And then app modernization. So as organizations move to the cloud, they can encourage developers to create more cloud native applications or, utilize SaaS offerings as well. So in summary, VMware Cloud helps with this any cloud on any application on any cloud idea. That's really the core vision of VMware multi-cloud solutions and helping organizations operate securely and efficiently across all of these different clouds. So I got a quick question here, so let me stop and answer. So the question was, can you give some suggestions for someone who is trying to transition into tech and specifically into cloud? It seems it is a bit hard to get into the field without any tech work experience or only have personal projects. Okay, so to transition into working for cloud, right? I think one of the easiest way that you can get uh, a job related to that, I would say would be getting certifications according to the different clouds. So for example, you want to get a job as I don't know, a solutions architect or a developer working with AWS, right? Then there are related certifications that AWS offers that helps you learn and also validate your skills and knowledge about that specific cloud, right? And so with that certification, you can, obviously you put that on the resume and as you apply, that's one of those things that people, I guess, recruiters look for is that validation of your knowledge without, even if you don't have specific experience, right? Is one way that you can get in. And that's same for VMware as well, where VMware has a lot of different certifications. And it's one of the ways that you can kind of start yourself into that career. And I'll say from my experience as well, I started in tech consulting actually. And then I wanted to get into VMware, into the more technical roles. So I was working on a project that had some VMware components in it, but I wasn't the VMware expert, right? So with that, I actually studied, during the evenings and weekends and stuff. I got my first professional certifications for VMware. And that was kind of my ticket, I guess, in a way, to get a different job and to get out of tech consulting and become a more technical person for VMware. There was another question. So will VMware accept AWS cert and vice versa? I'm not exactly clear on what you mean by accepted. I'm guessing if you wanted a job at VMware, are you asking if AWS certs help? In that case, obviously it depends on the job, right? So VMware does have a big partnership, and one of our flagship offering is VMware Cloud on AWS. So if you are applying for a job that is about that specific solution or related to that, AWS experience and certification would definitely help in getting that specific position. So it would depend. I don't know if that answered your question. If not, just let me know. All right, perfect. So I'll continue on with the architecture and strategy, but please, just keep on asking questions as I come. All right, so VMware, I kind of like this slide. I know I said I didn't make it, but my colleague did, and it's kind of about a VMware evolution, right? So first it was vSphere, which is that abstraction layer for compute capacity, and it essentially helps organizations be able to utilize their compute capacity as much as possible instead of having, for example, like one host from one application, right? So we moved really from that vSphere realm, or what he called version 1, to the version 2, which is a software-defined data center. So that's based on vSphere, NSX, and vSAN. So each of those are data center layers, right? So vSphere being compute, NSX being network, and then vSAN being the storage area, where these are all these virtualized infrastructure. So now we're quote unquote at the version 3, which is that hybrid cloud operations as a platform. So we have the virtual cloud network, and we have all these different partnerships, right, with our with other organizations like AWS, Azure, IBM Cloud, Google Cloud, etc. And we have those hybrid clouds or hyperscale solutions that organizations can consume. So now the foundation for hybrid cloud really is on, I guess, foundation on our cloud is VMware Cloud Foundation. That's the product name of it. But VMware Cloud Foundation essentially is that software-defined data center utilizing that vSphere, NSX, and vSAN. So VMware Cloud Foundation is totally customer managed, right? It's on the customer infrastructure. And then you could go more into like VMware managed with different infrastructure, like VMware Cloud on AWS is one that I mentioned earlier. And then like there's also VMware Cloud on Dell EMC, where it's a VMware managed infrastructure. And then there's also like partner managed infrastructure. And there's a lot of different providers there. So we have listed here IBM Cloud, Microsoft, Azure, Google Cloud, Oracle, and Alibaba Cloud. So essentially, the infrastructure is managed by different entity, essentially, but in the end, on top of that, the software-defined data center remains the same, which provides that unified operation or environment for the application developers. So this is a high-level architecture of VMware Cloud. So again, VMware Cloud Foundation is, and the same software essentially is used in all of the data centers, whether it's the customer data center or if it's on AWS infrastructure or Microsoft Azure infrastructure, right? It doesn't matter in a sense. So they're all the same. So for you or for organizations, automation or operation or having that security across all of these cloud essentially are, it's a lot easier, right? And you have what you call vCenter, which is the management component of VMware Cloud Foundation and all of these different software, right? That makes up the software-defined data center. vCenter gives you that common management plane for all of these different environments. And then you could also utilize, different products that VMware provides, like vRealize Suite. That's a whole suite of products. Tanzu and Cloud Health as well for, having the consistency and visibility across all of these different environments. So some of the main use cases we kind of talked about, but the data for hybrid cloud, you can extend or migrate your data center. You could also use it for disaster recovery. So like if you have an on-premises environment and something happens to it and you don't want to spend, a lot of money, or let's say having another on-premises data center, you could have this kind of hybrid cloud solution where all of your applications are recovered there in case your on-premises one goes down completely. Right. For virtual desktops, that's a cool use case, I think. So for especially with a pandemic, a lot of people are working remote. I think virtual desktops have definitely been a big need, especially in this time. So I think for that, the hybrid cloud offerings have been very helpful for organizations to meet those needs for people working remotely. So that's been a very interesting use case lately. And then application modernization, right? A lot of AI, lots of machine learning applications, are just so much being developed. That's for modern applications and the ones that also utilize cloud native services. So I think organizations, no matter what, in the end, they're going to have to modernize their applications. So going to hybrid cloud is one of the ways they can make that easier for themselves as well. So this is a little more detail about, the vRealize Cloud Health and Tanzu, which I mentioned, that helps you manage all of these different environments. So for vRealize, there's that hybrid cloud, and it helps with more of like automation of your virtual machines or containers, right? And giving that idea of self-service and providing that catalog for users to be able to consume the resources that are available to them. Now, Cloud Health gives you more visibility into, cost management, security. It also gives you that recommended usage, maybe so that you can optimize the use of your resources. And then Tanzu Mission Control is our, Kubernetes management platform, essentially. So it gives you that flexibility, not just for, that you have to have virtual machines, right? You could also have these containers as well. Now I got another question, so I'll pause here and answer. So the question is, I'm not sure how or what to do to showcase cloud-related personal projects. I will spin up from an AWS free account and will terminate when I'm done to avoid charges. There is no personal project related to cloud or AWS that I have on my GitHub. Any suggestions on projects related to example AWS that I can do? So I'm assuming this is a developer perspective, right? I'm just clarifying because I come from more of like that infrastructure world, right? I've been like a network architect essentially and NSX architect for a while, so I've never been a developer. So if you are a developer, and I'm assuming that you're creating something that you want to showcase with AWS. Honestly, I'm not sure because yeah, you're right. You don't want to have that charges continue. Um, I'm assuming, but there is a way that you can save everything that you've done, so that if you do need to spin it up again, you're not starting from scratch. Um, Another way, actually, now that I think about it, would be like if you had a personal blog or something, right? You could kind of step by step show maybe what you've done or the project that you've done. You could have screenshots, you could have some snippets of code that you've created, and kind of have it as like a portfolio, right? Like a blog where you showcase what you've done before. So like, for example, I have a personal blog and mostly it's for, to give information to, to the community and like kind of my way of also giving back to VMware community. But I actually sometimes use it too in the future. Like if a customer asks, hey, like, how do I do this? And I'm like, oh, I've done that like last year. And I don't have that environment anymore, right? But I do still have how I've done it, and the steps that I've took to have done it, and like example, like code or files. I think that could actually be a good idea, right? Just to showcase, hey, I still done it, and it's on my personal blog to showcase. But not sure that I don't know if that helped, but let me know if it didn't. And there's another question: what level of development skills, I believe, or and what language is needed, if at all, for SysOp associate? I'm assuming you're talking about AWS SysOp. I actually don't know. I haven't taken the AWS SysOp associate exam. I've taken the solution architect and the developer for AWS, but they're not focused on a specific language. It's more about understanding their product and what kind of solutions or use cases that AWS can solve for organizations. So I don't think it's specific on a language, but I'm not sure exactly for this is specifically. All right, then I'll keep going. So these are the different strategies that organizations can use when it comes to modernizing their applications. So this is what also it's also referred to as like 5 R's as a reference, right? Kind of easier to remember. So it'd be retain, which is just remaining the existing application as is, which is still an option, right? Like maybe it's not the most preferred, but it just really depends on the application and its needs and the business needs itself. Now, second is rehost. So it's just moving essentially your applications to the cloud from on premises. So just a lift and shift is also called rehost or migrate. Now, replatform is putting applications in, okay, I don't know how else to say it, but in a different platform. So like, let's say putting applications in containers, maybe it's developing something more into like microservices instead will be like replatform. And then refactor is rewriting your apps altogether and maybe taking advantage of the cloud native services that are a little closer now that you are more in the hybrid cloud instead of just being on premises. And retire is retiring the application that maybe you no longer need or you're not using anymore. And then you could potentially, write a new app for it or start utilizing a SaaS app instead and just consume the service that you might need. Now, the multi-cloud platform essentially benefits modern applications because it helps the developers with their productivity, right? That it gives you less time to manage the infrastructure because you don't have to essentially anymore to a certain extent. And the platforms and resources are available to the developers on demand. And it helps with the operations being centralized as well, right? Any policy governance, especially being that, security is one of the main concerns for organizations when they go to public cloud. And then platform modernization. So it's in a sense, you can maybe reduce the cost by using moving off of high cost platforms. And then you could also enable some workload mobility as well to the best environment. Now, VMware Cloud Foundation with Tanzu, delivers that hybrid cloud platform for all of these applications and, bringing that intrinsic security and lifecycle automation. So I think the security part is really important to get and understand, right? Because that is one of the biggest concerns with public cloud compared to being on premises, where the organizations have more control, right, or more granular control and visibility into the infrastructure, where that might not be an option or a easy possibility in the public cloud. So it's definitely one of those things where, hey, if you have a hybrid cloud platform, security would be a big, not it's a concern, but a big use case for organizations. So, all right, so I'm going to now go into more details about different hybrid cloud solutions. So first, I'm going to start with VMware Cloud on AWS. So this is that jointly engineered solution with AWS. There are, tons of native AWS services. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with it. And this really gives organization that opportunity to move to the cloud while maintaining the infrastructure and maintaining the operations, right? Because essentially, VMware Cloud on AWS is your VMware software-defined data center on native or AWS infrastructure, right? So you don't have to essentially like change anything, right? Or refactor your applications before you have to move. That's, you can, of course, but if you're maybe strapped for time or budget or whatever the situation is, it makes it easier for organizations to move. And there's actually also what's called VMware HCX. It's another solution for organizations that helps to move and migrate to the cloud very easily. So VMware Cloud and AWS gives you the hybrid operations across your data center and cloud and edge. Like, for example, actually, if you have an on-premises data center, you can connect the vCenter to the vCenter that's on VMware Cloud on AWS and have like this one, a single view of both of these sites from one place too. So that kind of helps, whoever's managing in both of these environments to at least view all of the inventory or resources that are available in both sites from one place, right? So a little bit about, some of the key milestones, I guess, since launching VMware Cloud on AWS. So VMware Cloud on AWS was first launched back in August 2017. And that was like kind of the first real hybrid cloud offering that VMware started with. And then, we're obviously expanding and adding different locations, right? If you see like November 2017, we added the Virginia region, and then going to like March 2018, it's like London region, etc. And, we're still adding more and gaining that momentum with customers as they're using it more and more. So it is one of our big hybrid cloud offerings for our customers. And in the future too, there's VMware Cloud on AWS Outposts, and we'll kind of talk more about, more in detail about technical details, at least about this in the next session. Actually, is going to be focused on VMware Cloud on AWS. So these are some of the regions that are available worldwide. So these are AWS regions. So if you're familiar with AWS, these regions will sound pretty familiar to you. So these are still being added. This map specifically was last updated end of last year. So I believe we have some additional regions as well this year. Now, another solution is called Azure VMware Solution. So Azure VMware Solution, like I said, is a joint solution with Microsoft Azure. So essentially it's the same idea, right? Is that the VMware software-defined data center is now on the Microsoft Azure instead of AWS, like for the VMC on AWS. So, this kind of gives you that Azure experience. If you're familiar with Azure, it gives you programmable, and it gives you that integration with Azure Portal, which is cool. And it's the same use case in terms of migrating to the cloud. This gives an organization an easy way for them to move without having to, refactor all of their applications or eliminate them or anything like that, right? So different VMware solutions and services are available to run on Azure VMware Solution. So for example, like Horizon, which is for, those virtual desktops that I talked about, that is available to run on Azure VMware Solution, as well as our vRealize suite or vRealize portfolio, which helps you with that management and automation. So it has a lot of integrations with our different VMware products, not just the software-defined data center. So this is the region deployment schedule. There are some available, as you can see already. And of course, we're expanding it as we talk. I don't remember exactly when this was updated, pretty recent though. So Azure VMware Solution definitely is gaining traction as well. Now, there's another one called Google Cloud VMware Engine, or GCVE. Some people put it for short. So again, similar idea, but so the VMware software-defined data center now on Google global infrastructure, right? And you have access to all of Google services. So The infrastructure is owned, operated, supported, and sold by Google. And it gives you that consistent infrastructure and operations still between your own like on-premises data center and the Google Cloud. All right, so these are some of the highlights or main capabilities for Google Cloud VMware Engine. So the setup time is about like 30 minutes or so, which is really quick. So for an organization to spin up a new instance, let's say in Google Cloud, is very quick, right? It's not like in the past where like on-premises data centers, you have to wait, like order, right, servers or networks or cables, and you wait months. And then it takes forever to come, and then you stock them and you have to connect them, make sure they work. It takes forever. So the setup time of 30 minutes is really insane, to be honest. Right. So that's pretty nice. Gives you different connectivity options to your on-premises environment or cloud VPCs as well, if you're familiar with Google Cloud VPCs. And then there are different SLAs that Google Cloud VMware Engine offers. And of course, that SLA is different for all of these different solutions because it's really whatever the cloud provider is able to give you, right? So it would be different for VMC on AWS or Azure VMware solutions. So, but some of the SLAs that Google Cloud VMware Engine wants to highlight is that for networking and storage is 4 nines, and for management infrastructure 3 nines. All right, of course, those are kind of the main products that I mentioned, but there are more, right? So there's like the Oracle Cloud VMware. So that's available as well. It just became available, I think, end of last year or the half of last year. So for that, you have the complete management and configurability of VMware infrastructure, which is kind of, I guess, what it sets itself apart. You have more, or the organizations have more control over the infrastructure itself, which is different from the other clouds. There's Alibaba Cloud as well, and it's available in Greater China region. And there are different use cases, of course, for that, where kind of, I guess, mostly it gives global customers an ability to expand into that specific region with, VMware infrastructure, which makes it easier for them, right? And then there's also IBM Cloud. So they're kind of deployed across different IBM data centers. There are lots of customer deployments worldwide as well. And it supports, very large enterprise SAP deployments, which is pretty unique. So I know I threw a lot of information at you, and I know this wasn't the most technical session probably, but I just want to start out and make sure everyone understands the base or vision, right, or the use case for VMware Cloud before we just dive into the solution and all the fun technical details, right? You kind of sometimes need to know why would an organization use something like this, or maybe you're talking to your customer and then you realize, oh, wait, this would actually be really nice for them or help make it easier for them, as a solution architect. So this is something you still want to keep in mind. So I wanted to start there. So VMware Cloud, right? It's a fast path to the cloud for organization, gives you that flexibility. And really with that any app vision, is an environment suitable for, any applications for developers. And it helps with the management of infrastructure and operations, and also helps you with, resource management, right? Which comes down to cost. And it hopefully helps you save money in this way. And again, any application on any cloud where you can build, run, manage, connect, and protect all of those in different clouds that we have here. So the next session will be in August, and that one will focus specifically on VMware Cloud on AWS, and then we'll kind of work down that list as we move forward. So, the one after will likely be Azure or Google Cloud or Oracle, one of those. We're still planning, but, we'll go into more technical details, how you can get started, some of the different network connectivity options, right? How you can migrate using HCX, and we'll have demos and things included as well. So it will definitely be less vision E or business E, right? And then more into technical fun. So any questions before I wrap it up? All right, I'll take silence as a no. So you can reach out to me through Twitter. I believe I shared that account. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. So just let me know. And yeah, as Charmaine just shares on this chat, please join us on Slack with Women Who Code Cloud. We're still growing the group. And it's a fun little group right now. So we'd love for you to join. Check out our upcoming events as well. We have like book clubs and we have like, it's a monthly, Charmaine? Okay. Yeah, we have like monthly book clubs. It's pretty fun. We could just gather and we have different other sessions. And if you'd like to do a session, that'd be very, very helpful as well. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope this was helpful. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next monthly session.